UMAR, AHMED, IFL TV, MTK Global. It's fight day in Providence. Now, our first interview of the week, it got so much traction, and the fans of IFL demanded another David Higgins interview, so here we are. And we're going to do a Q&A on Twitter, so we're going to get straight into it. So the first question we've had is the Earth flat?
Definitely not flat. I can tell you Paris Hilton is, I've met her. No, I think in 1492 Christopher Columbus proved the Earth was not flat, but I can fully understand why most of your viewers think the Earth is flat.
Why is that?
Well, inbreds, uneducated, you know, that sort of thing.
This one is actually from Coogan. Ask him how many shots has he done before 8 AM.
None today, Coogan.
That one is fairly straightforward then. What's your life quote, like motto?
Everyone dies, but not everyone lives.
Okay. What do I have to do to get a job with you and Team Parker?
Start with a photo and a CV.
Fair enough. Has he ever thought about going into business with Callis Howland?
No, I find him, there's something off-putting about him.
Oh, really? How many pints did he have before the Huey Fury presser?
I had no pints. Francois Botha and I had maybe 1 or 2 tequilas, and it was a very effective presser. Going into that presser, everyone was in breach of contract and the spirit of the agreement, and they wouldn't change the referee, and the fight was getting no media coverage. After that presser, we got the referee changed and we were leading the news. So it was, and it needed a bit of a train wreck to get the attention of the media, but also to get the ref changed. So as much as your viewers think it was all a bit of a joke or whatever, it was actually a very effective execution.
Okay. Has Andy Ruiz hooked him up with the Mexican cartel yet?
No.
Ask him what's the funniest story he's got of Eddie Hearn.
Ooh. Well, listen, I'll tell you something serious about Eddie. I admire what he's doing for boxing. I mean, Don King, Bob Arum's probably the most accomplished promoter. I do believe that Eddie Hearn will go down in history as the most accomplished promoter ever. 30 years later, he's actually fair. Like, I trust him. He's already dominating in Europe. I think he's going to dominate in the United States with DAZN. A lot of money behind them. They've got a vision, and he's foot on the accelerator. So I think what Hearn is doing is wonderful, and I wish him every success. But unlike me and his father Barry, he'll never know what it is to start from nothing and make your own way.
Okay. Okay. So when you say, do you think if Barry wasn't his father, let's say, do you think things might be different? Or?
Oh no, I think he's extremely capable, intelligent. You know, a lot of people get a good start, say, wealthy parents, and a lot of them squander it. Many squander it. So it's actually, in a way, more difficult. So, you know, people say, oh, you were born with a silver spoon, etc. But no, Eddie's taken the ball and he's running with it.
Okay. Has he ever called Joseph Parker Joe?
Who? Hearn?
No, no. Have you ever called Joe Joe? That's what a stupid question.
I've called him many names, and some I can't repeat on camera.
Oh, okay. This one's a bit of a dig, I suppose. But has Joseph Parker still got an amazing chin?
I'll tell you what. Joseph had never been dropped. Then he was concussively head-butted, and some of these people refuse to acknowledge that, but it's on video. Concussively head-butted to the top of the head, and had to sort of try survive, and it was called a knockdown. Had to survive concussed for a number of rounds, and White got him down, and he got straight back up. So the one time he went down, it was in a state of concussion, and he popped straight back up, and then he nearly knocked White out at the end. So the answer is yeah, he's got one of the best chins in the division.
Okay. Will you ever go on Love Island?
No, it's beneath me. I don't even watch that trash, let alone consider appearing on it.
Who does he think the best promoter in the world is at the minute?
Eddie Hearn.
Okay. Ask him for his dealer's number.
Next.
Oh my god, this question. Would he rather get knocked out by Eddie Hearn in a fight or find him in bed with his wife?
See, that's a difficult one. No, I'd rather take the knockout.
Have you ever passionately kissed Eddie Hearn?
Absolutely not.
Ask him what his weight is.
77 kilograms.
How close was Bellew v Parker? Was that even talked about?
Tell you what, when Joseph was WBO world champion, Bellew was rubbishing him, talking behind his back, calling him out again and again. And then when Bellew took the loss, to Joshua, we pushed to fight Bellew, but then Bellew had zero interest. So we tried to make Bellew Parker, but no, I think Tony's moved on with his life and retired from boxing.
He has indeed. Ask him how he still managed to stay involved, even now taking a cut for absolutely nothing.
Well, I don't do absolutely nothing. I make the deals. So the contracts, the deals, and boxing at this level can be very, very complicated legally, financially. So I ran, Eddie Hearn's a promoter, but we ran a process, or Joseph did. I helped him to flush out different offers from likes of Top Rank, Matchroom, and then compare them and negotiate and make a deal. So Joseph's got a very good deal with Matchroom. So my role is to help Joseph with the deal-making process back in New Zealand, where there's a pay-per-view market. It's to set up TV deals and sponsorship and assist. But also, that person who asked that question has little understanding of loyalty and investment. So, I signed Joseph when he was 19 or 20, and I sort of felt he might become heavyweight champion of the world. And I said, we'll leave no stone unturned, we'll invest heavily, we'll fight often, we'll back you. And we did, and he did become heavyweight champion of the world, so it's kind of a partnership. And so Joseph is one of the good guys that acknowledges that. And so we're a team, and so I'd say we'll be working together until retirement.
Fair enough. Who would have won in a fight between Joseph and David Tua?
When Tua was in his prime, tough. That one could have gone either way. If Joseph's at his best, and technically, who knows, but Tua had a massive knockout, and in fact he knocked out 4 world champions. He never became world champion, but he knocked out 4 world champions: Andrew Galotta, Michael Moorer, John Ruiz, and Oleg Maskayev, but never became world champion. In fact, the first boxing event I ever promoted was with David Tua.
Okay. Him and Eddie Hearn in the ring with 8-ounce gloves on. Who comes out on top?
Hearn, because he's a elephant weight versus a flyweight. So I mean, Hearn's, it would be illegal because Hearn's got the weight advantage.
Do you consider yourself lucky to be managing Joe?
It's not luck. I feel privileged because he's talented and great to work with, but it's not luck. I've sweated blood, invested, endured death threats.
Death threats?
Made losses on events. It's not. It's not for the faint-hearted, and so and for 6 years. So it's you make your own luck, but I wouldn't call it luck. It's not like winning lotto. In fact, 7 years ago, when no one knew who Joe was, we've been hustling for that period of time.
Okay. When you say death threats, like, was there a lot, or?
Oh no, now and then, but we won't get into that.
Fair enough. Are you doing well sexually?
Next.
Oh, this is just a comment. Everyone loves a Higgins interview. Oh God, I can't ask that. I can't ask that. I can show it, but
That's good.
where's it gone?
No.
Oh dear. Okay, this is one about Anthony Joshua. What do you think of Anthony Joshua?
I think that he's probably deep down a nice guy. You know, some girls think he's better looking than me, but I think otherwise. Like, some of my staff are quite fond of him, and I'm like, why? What about me? So he's apparently just a good-looking guy. He's quite a nice guy. In terms of boxing, I think, you know, after winning that Olympic gold, you're on a pedestal, and so you don't get the same scrutiny sometimes. And I think the chinks that Andy Ruiz exposed, the chin and the mental side, they were always there. But the British pundits and media and fans never talked about it. It was like the Emperor's New Clothes. The rumours abound of him being dropped and sparring. So, you know, I think, you know, Joseph didn't do quite enough to win against Joshua, but had he be allowed to fight on the inside, I could see Joseph having done what Ruiz did. He didn't, so we're not complaining. We have to earn our way. Joseph has to earn his way back in rematch. But, you know, I wish Anthony Joshua well. I think he's been, let me say this, he's been wonderful for heavyweight boxing. He has put 4 shows in stadiums at 80 to 100,000 people. I mean, Joshua Klitschko, Wembley, Joshua Povetkin, Wembley, Joshua Parker, Cardiff. Joshua Takam. So one man has literally put nearly 300,000-400,000 people through the gate in the space of a year and a half. He's a commercial juggernaut. That's good for the sport. So it's sort of opened it up for everyone. So I respect Joshua, but I think that there are chinks in his armour, and if Joseph earned a rematch, I see Joseph winning.
By knockout?
I think he can knock him out.
Just like Andy Ruiz did?
Yes.
Okay. I think we talked about this in the first one that we did earlier the week, but elements of quit in there. Has Joseph said anything about him, like all the quit talk about Joshua in that fight?
Not really. Joseph's very respectful, and, you know, even if he had opinions, he tends to respect the boxers and you know, doesn't really want to. So no, he doesn't really. He focuses on himself, and he doesn't really worry about that side of things. So it falls to people like me to mouth off.
Another one about what's the funniest moment you've had with Eddie Hearn?
Well, I when him and I closed the Joshua Parker fight, which was the second highest pay-per-view in British European history, the highest revenue event by a New Zealand company ever. I don't know what in New Zealand dollars, 48 million, right? So Hearn and I'm called out to his mansion in Essex to finish the contract. Now, most of your viewers would have seen Fawlty Towers.
Yep.
Right? I mean, they're all watching American trash nowadays, but back when there was some quality.
Great comedy.
Yeah. So, you know that white hotel?
Yes.
So Eddie's mansion is like the hotel of Fawlty Towers.
What, in Brentwood?
It's in Essex.
Yeah, yeah.
So you roll up to this rickety giant white mansion. There's like a helicopter pad in the backyard. And there's like a roller or a Bentley. So I go in, and most of his staff are boys between 19 and 24. Now, I'm not kidding. There was only one female, and I'm not saying that that's a thing, but there were literally only boys under 30. Anyway, and I think it's because young guys who love sport will do it for the love of it, so you can pay them less. So, no, there's heaps of young guys that would love to work in boxing sport and would just do it for the love of it. So, you know, whatever. I mean, this question for Eddie, so I'm not judging. Anyway,
I'll ask him tonight.
So, I get taken into, there's a swimming pool, like a gym. I get taken into his office.
Did you do any lamps while you were there?
No. Now, Eddie's office is like bigger than this hotel lobby. And it's sort of antique-y. You know, like a run-down Buckingham Palace, like velvety and like Renaissance looking, like shag pile carpet. It's like a run-down Victorian hotel. So I'm sitting in there, and he's got the heating turned up, like it's sweltering. I mean, it would have been in Celsius, it would have been 35 degrees, and I said, and I was sweating because I had the jumper on. We finished the contract. I said to Eddie, it's fucking hot in here. Like, what's going on? He goes, oh yeah. Actually, I think there's something wrong with the heaters because he had those old oil water. He goes, yeah, you're right. I think there's something wrong with the heaters. I said, do you mind if I take my jumper off? And I had a white singlet on, which he calls a string vest. I've never heard that term before. In New Zealand, there's a slang term. It's called a wife beater, which is a bit not politically correct, but you know, like Marlon Brando off Streetcar Named Desire. It's the white. Now Eddie found this hilarious. He goes, and so we signed the contract while I'm wearing the string vest, as Eddie calls it, and Eddie goes on about it. Anyway, that was quite amusing. Well, he thinks it is.
Sounds very amusing. Just before we leave sort of the topic of Eddie Hearn, I do want to ask you, you and Kevin have said that you never saw contracts for that Chisora fight. You felt as if they were perhaps trying to shorten your camp. I spoke to this about Eddie yesterday, and you saw his response.
Yeah.
Our viewers have obviously seen the response. Do you want to kind of comment on the fact that he says that you weren't happy with the terms? Was his exact
No,
quote?
that's rubbish. The terms weren't the issue. Time was the issue. And I accept that maybe he wasn't trying to shorten the camp, but for 15 weeks I said, where's the term sheet, where's the contract, where's an email? At week 15 I couldn't even get an email saying this is the proposed venue, date and purse. And they're saying, no, we want the fight. So I'm getting messaging from Eddie and David Hay and Chisora, they want the fight. 15 weeks forward, by week 7 they're still saying the right things, but we're yet to receive anything in writing. So it's either A, they're trying to shorten the camp. If Eddie says that wasn't the plan, I believe him. He was just too busy on his private jet somewhere over the Bermuda Triangle and it wasn't a priority.
Okay, fair enough. You've cleared that up. Right, do you want to fire any questions in? No. No? Nothing?
No.
We know enough about that.
I think we do, yeah.
Okay.
All right, well listen, we look forward to tonight.
Great.
You expect a stoppage for Joseph?
Look, I just would love to see him win. It's never ideal to go into a puncher at 2 weeks' notice, really. I mean, look at Joshua and Ruiz. This is not ideal. But, you know, I know that if Joe performs the way he can, he's going to win the fight.
Okay. Last one, actually. Just got a decent question. Can he do the haka?
Joseph.
No, you.
Me. Nah, I'd be worse than Tyson Fury.
On that note, we'll end it there. Thank you very much, David.
Cheers. Thank you.